Today is February 12, 2026 at 9:30 a.m. We are meeting in person and virtually today at the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board. Today's meeting will be recorded. We encourage the public to provide comments specific to items on the meeting agenda. The public comment guidelines are posted on our website and outline how to let us know in advance of the meeting that you wish to provide public comment at the meeting. Those providing public comments at today's meeting notified us by 5 p.m. yesterday or signed up in person this morning within 15 minutes of the start of the meeting. For those that signed up to provide comments in advance of today's meeting, when we get to the agenda item you signed up to comment on, we will unmute you. Once recognized, please state your name and limit your comments to 2 minutes. Written comments on today's agenda items should have been received by the close of business yesterday, February 11th, 2026. Written comments were received regarding tab 7. Those comments have been distributed to the commissioners prior to the meeting and will be made available on the website following the meeting. The chat feature has been turned off. If you have technical difficulties, please email us at askus@wsgc.wa.gov. All right, now I will take the roll. Vice Chair Lawson. Present. Commissioner Charles. Commissioner Scarvet.
Yes. Got it.
I forgot to practice my first meeting with you, so welcome. In person anyhow. All right, Senator Conway. Senator Holy. Representative Klova. Representative Waters. All right, so we will go ahead and begin with agenda item 1, which is the proposed tribal gaming compact amendment for the Squaxin Island Tribe Compact Amendment hearing. We have Ray Peters, the intergovernmental liaison for the Squaxin Island Tribe, Nathan Schreiner, the attorney for the Squaxin Island Tribe, Tina Griffin, the executive director of the Gambling Commission, and Johnny Bray, the tribal relations advisor.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Tina Griffin of the Gambling Commission. We're here today because the Squaxin Island Tribe and the state have reached tentative agreement on a restated, amended tribal state gaming compact. We would like to thank, the state would like to thank the Squaxin Island Tribe for their collaborative work on updating the compact. While this is a heavy lift, restatements are always a heavy lift, it was a very smooth and seamless process due in large part to the tribe's work, and we're very thankful for the tribe's collaborative work on this update. So with that, we can go to the next slide, please. And we can just advance through the commissioner and the ex officio slide. Thank you. The Indian Gaming Regulatory Act was established in 1988. The core goal of IGRA is to promote lawful and protected gaming activities for the purposes of promoting tribal economic development, self-determination, and strong tribal governments. IGRA sets the framework for which tribes and states can negotiate Class 3 gaming activities permitted by the state and when conducted in conformance with a tribal state compact. IGRA also outlines what the tribe and the state can negotiate into compacts to include such things as the gaming activities, civil and criminal jurisdictions, the fees for state regulation, and standards of operation. Next slide, please. Tribal gaming provides tribal governments the funds necessary to build and sustain their governmental infrastructure. When negotiations are requested by a tribe, IGRA requires states to negotiate in good faith. Next slide, please. The tribe and state share the same public protection interests, which tie back to the core goals of IGRA. The tribal state compacts address these shared interests, shared public protection interests to ensure that there is no criminal activity, gaming is fair and honest and limited to the authorized activities, and minimizes the negative impacts on emergency services. The gaming compact amendment process, we've completed negotiations and have, through that, direction was received from policymakers such as yourselves in the governor's office. We have now, we've notified the respective legislative committees, and they have held their hearings. We had a hearing from with the Senate Business, Trade, and Economic Development on January 21st, and then a hearing with the House State Government and Tribal Relations Committee on February 10th. We are now here for a public meeting for which you will take public comment and then vote to either return this for further negotiations or forward to the governor for review and final execution. And any questions before I turn it over to Ray Peters and Nathan Schreiner? Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Ray Peters. I am the Intergovernmental Affairs Tribal Council Liaison for the Squaxin Island Tribe. I also serve in my capacity as the chair of the Little Creek Oversight Board that governs and oversees all operations at Little Creek Casino and Resort. And so we're here to go ahead and strongly support these compact amendments. The tribe is the largest employer in Mason County, and we take that with great pride in providing jobs not only for Mason County families, but Thurston County, Grace Harbor County, Kitsap County. And so that's a really important economic driver. So those revenues really go back into the surrounding communities and support families, and we're quite proud of that. The amendments simply simplify and clarify the existing compact, improving the ability of the tribe to regulate and manage the casino. The amendments also make the tribe's compact current with other compacts within the state, incorporating recent appendices and adjustments from the other tribes. I want to extend my thanks to the Washington State Gambling Commission, staff and leadership. I understand it was a pleasant, principled negotiation. The opportunity made available by these changes will allow employment within the community and new funding for essential government services like housing and healthcare. Thank you for your time.
Good.
I've generally been the +1 in case there were any questions. I'll go ahead and take the opportunity to thank the staff level negotiating team, Julie Lees, Johnny Bray, and Sharon for pages.
Thank you.
Oh, and for the record, can you give us?
I'm sorry, for the record, my name is Nathan Schreiner. I'm a staff attorney with the Squaxin Island Tribe.
Johnny, are you?
I'm ready. Hello and good morning. For the record, my name is Johnny Bray, and I am the Tribal Relations Advisor for the Washington State Gambling Commission, and I'm a member of Director Griffin's negotiations team. And it is my honor to present the culmination of the work that we have done with the Squaxin Island Tribe that has resulted in their proposed restated compact. This restatement pulls together 6 previous amendments upon approval. You will note that when a tribe opts to restate its compact, it results in a cohesive, easier to read piece of work. In this case, Squaxin Island has amended and restated appendices A, B, S, W, X2, and Y. Appendices C, X, X2 addendum have been removed. These documents didn't just disappear. By and large, they have been incorporated into the compact proper or into another appendix in a user-friendly, common-sense manner. Squaxin Island has additionally added Appendix E limitations and Appendix G electronic table games. While these are both new to Squaxin Island, these are each reminiscent of previous presentations, as I will note in the next slides. They have also updated their problem gambling, responsible gaming policies, and removed contributions from their compact. Adoption of Appendix E is similar to the presentations that you might have heard in December for Port Gamble and Upper Skagit tribes, with the exception that Squaxin Island tribe has negotiated the option to have both high limit rooms and a flex high limit room. I have summarized Appendix E on this slide. Adoption of Appendix G, likewise, is similar to that outlined on this slide and in previous presentations for the Port Gamble, Sklallam tribe, the Upper Skagit tribe, and even earlier presentations for Lummi Nation, which was just published by OIG last week. I've summarized Appendix G here. We have made an earnest effort to ensure that the public has had an opportunity to comment on this matter. It was raised in our 2 previous public forums with the House and the Senate, and we have released a press release with our contact information. And today, at this time, is the last opportunity to provide public comment. I will pause now to ascertain if there is any comments from anyone. Let me further note for the record that we have not received any comment via our email address as of this date. At this time, my presentation is complete. I want to thank the commissioners for their time and attention to this matter. I will now turn this matter back to the commission to determine whether this is ready to be forwarded to Governor Ferguson for signature or return to Director Griffin for further negotiations. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Johnny. All right, so now we are going to move on and we're going to come back to take the vote when we know we have some ex officios that are out on the session floor right now. Should be here about 10 a.m. to do that. So we're going to move to the consent agenda, which is tab 3, and that is our January 8th, 2026 commission meeting minutes, new licenses, and class 3 gaming employees, and a house bank card room list.
Anticipated some reason ex officio.
Are there any questions from the commissioners or comments? Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented by staff.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. Let's see, is Tricia still here? Do you want to do the legislative update? Tab 6.
Don't worry, I didn't run off.
Okay, so I'm looking over there. I don't know.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tricia Gullion, Legislative and Rules Manager, for the legislative update. We have just passed the halfway point of the 2026 legislative session, which is scheduled to adjourn on March 12th. Last week, staff attended the annual Law and Justice Day on the Hill with other law enforcement agencies from around the state. We met with lawmakers to share concerns regarding another potential sweep of funds from our budget and the impact that that would have on our agency and the important work that we do. There is one gambling bill that is moving through the legislature this session. It is Senate Bill 6137, and this would allow the in-state collegiate sports wagering while prohibiting prop bets on the performance of a Washington college athlete. Additionally, this bill includes a provision which would allow sports wagers to be placed at one tribal gaming facility while the server or hub could be placed at a different tribal gaming facility. Currently, the server must be on site at the location where a wager is placed. So yesterday it passed in the state Senate by a vote of 41-8 and will now move to the House of Representatives. Additionally, the commissioner confirmations for Commissioners Beebe, Charles, and Scarpet are continuing to move through the process, and we should hope that you will be confirmed shortly. And finally, we do expect to see supplemental House and Senate versions of the operating budget the week of February 23rd, which we hope we will not be included in any sweeps this year. So that is kind of the update that I have. Any questions?
And then Executive Director Griffin, we'll call it Director's Report.
There's no director's report this month. Have a lot here next month, though. Would you like to take tab 5? Since we have some time before officios are available for the vote.
Sure. Can do that.
Again, Tricia Gullion, Legislative and Rules Manager. In tab 5, we have a petition to initiate rulemaking. This petition is pretty straightforward. Petitioner Kim is requesting to remove wager limits on poker in WAC 230-15-135. I do believe that the petitioner is present with us virtually to speak on his.
I am not seeing him.
You're not seeing him? Okay. Would you like to make a motion?
Yes.
Discussion first.
There was no other public comment.
Okay.
Discussion first.
Discussion? No discussion.
Yeah.
Sorry.
My concern with this request is that it falls outside of the bounds of our legislative declaration creating the Washington State Gambling Commission. That's in RCW 9.46.010, which says that the public policy of the state of Washington on gambling is to keep the criminal element out and protect the people of the state of Washington by limiting the nature and scope of gambling activities and by strict regulation and control. And removing limits on wagers for poker is not strict regulation and control. In fact, it's uncontrolled. And so I don't think that it's within the abilities of the Gambling Commission to act on the commissioner's request. I think that, on the petitioner's request, I think that this is a request they would have to make to the legislature.
Any other commissioners? Do we have a motion?
I moved it to deny the petition because it is outside of the commission's regulatory authority to do what the petitioner has asked.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. So now we will take a break until 10 a.m. Thank you. Everybody, welcome. Today is February 12th, 2026. We are now going to go back to tab 1 after I take roll here, and we're going to vote on the Tribal Gaming Compact of Squaxin Island Tribe, which we just heard their presentations a few minutes ago. So let's take roll and make sure we have a quorum. Vice Chair Lawson.
Present.
Commissioner Charles.
Present.
Commissioner Skartvet.
Present.
Senator Conway.
I didn't tell me that, I just
Senator Holy.
I'm here.
Great. Good morning. Representative Kloba.
Here.
Hello. Thank
Are
you.
you able? Great.
Representative Waters. All right. We have a quorum. So, like I said, we just heard the presentations a few minutes ago. So do we have a motion?
I move we forward the proposed compact amendment for the Squaxin Island Tribe to the governor for review and final execution.
I second.
All right. Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? I will have Director Griffin take a roll call vote.
Vice Chair Lawson,
Aye.
Commissioner Charles,
Aye.
Commissioner Skartvet,
Aye.
Senator Conway, Senator Holy,
Aye.
Representative Kloba,
Aye.
Representative Waters. Chair Levy,
Aye.
vote passes 6-0.
All right, great. Thank you, everybody. We will now move to tab 2, the prediction market presentation. Given that our presenters are here, I see Bryce Mack. Is Scott Crowell available?
Scott Crown.
Crowell, sorry. I knew that.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, thank you. If you guys are ready, I'll let you go ahead.
All right. Thank you. Good morning, commissioners, ex officio members, and staff. For the record, I'm Bryce Mack. I'm a special agent supervisor in our intelligence unit. Today, I'm going to give you a brief overview on a topic that's in the news, and that is the prediction markets and how they relate to sport event contracts. So what we're going to be talking about is nationwide, the state regulators versus those companies that make up the prediction markets. And the question that's being asked is, are these financial instruments or are these illegal wagers? Quick disclaimer. The opinions in this presentation, they're mine. They do not reflect any official position of the Washington State Gambling Commission. Next slide, please. One more. Okay, so the core issue is the fundamental dispute over jurisdiction and classification. So on one side, we have the prediction market position. So this is companies like Kalshi, Polymarket. Their position is they're regulated federally by the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, that they're a designated contract market. Their argument is they're event contracts, they're swaps, derivatives. They basically fall under the Commodities Exchange Act, and that preempts state law. So their fundamental argument is they're no different than trading, gold or soybeans or things of that nature that would trade on a commodities market, and that the CFTC would oversee. On the other side of that, we have the state regulators' position. These are the state gaming authorities, the attorney generals, the gaming associations, and they argue that these products are front-facing consumer products, they're sports wagers, and they should fall to the state power to regulate those as gambling and for consumer protection. Next slide, please. So more on the prediction company's perspective. Again, they talk about this federal preemption of law, the Commodities Exchange Act. It grants the CFTC, the regulator, the exclusive jurisdiction over these type of contracts, and that supersedes any kind of state regulation or authority. Specifically, we've heard in the news, Kalshi, their statement is that they operate a peer-to-peer exchange. They're just setting up two entities and they earn a transaction fee, which is unlike a sports book that profits when users lose and they act as the house. Kalshi also highlights that it goes through a rigorous several-year process to gain the CFTC approval as a designated contract market. Next slide, please. Now we look at the state regulators' perspectives. State regulators say that this is indistinguishable from gambling. The products are functionally identical to sports wagering and that they should require a state license. The states emphasize the need for state-level safeguards, those being age restrictions, problem gambling exclusion programs, licensing requirements that could be lost under a federal-only type of model. Then there's the lack of the congressional attempt, the federal preemption argument. It just ignores the traditional need in a heavily regulated environment like gambling for those safeguards of age restriction, the problem gambling exclusion, the integrity monitoring of the sports, whether the lines are moving or whether there's some kind of manipulation that is detected. And then again, the stringent licensing requirements that come with this. Next slide, please. The next slide is just a screenshot of what's offered on Polymarket as an example, just to kind of frame it for you. So on the left side there, you can see there's any number of options. You have NFL, Canadian football, NBA, NHL, UFC, soccer, and the list goes on and on. And on this particular date, we were looking at the NFL, the Los Angeles Rams versus the Carolina Panthers. In this case, the Rams were the favorites. So you can see everything's based on winning $1 here. So you've got the straight up bet is the Los Angeles Rams, they're the favorites. So you would place a bet for 83 cents to win $1. And if you wanted to take the underdog, you would place 18 cents to win $1. That's the first column. If you go to the second column, that's the spread bet. So just like traditional sports gambling, in this case, the LA Rams, they're favorites by 10.5. So in that case, you're going to bet 49 cents to win $1. And if you take the underdog with the 10.5 points, you're going to bet 52 cents to win $1. And then the last column there is the over/under on the total score. And again, it's 52 cents if you believe the score is going to be over 46.5 to win $1, or 51 cents if you believe it's going to be below that. And then on the far right, that's the incremental dollar amounts that you can actually bet that's multiplied out by that. So if you're betting $100, it could be somewhere around $50 when you do the multiplier effect of the 83 cents, the 49 cents, the 52 cents, so on and so forth. So that just kind of frames it up to give you an example of what we're talking about. I can kind of give a quick summary. Basically, the anchor talks about, does the CFTC have the capacity to even regulate this activity? One of the things that Mr. McGinley talks about is about 90% of the volume on the exchange now comes from sports event contracts. So that's a very startling percentage. He talks about, these type of event contract markets, not sports specifically. They've been around for decades, things like gold, he specifically references. So those were kind of the big topics. But one of the large things to note is that the volume of sports event contracts make up a large percentage right now of what's going on that exchange, according to what he had stated in this news clip. All right, next slide. Okay, so then we look at some of the key litigation around the country. We start off in Nevada. They were one of the first. A federal judge there initially sided with Kalshi, granting preliminary injunction against state enforcement. Later, that was dissolved in November of 2025, and very recently we learned that a judge in Nevada issued a temporary restraining order, which halted Polymarket and basically sided with the state gaming control board in Nevada, involving a dispute over unlicensed wagering. Then we moved to New Jersey, also one of the first. Kalshi did secure a preliminary injunction there, which allowed it to continue to operate in the state of New Jersey. That court litigation continues. Different situation in Maryland. A federal judge denied Kalshi's request for a preliminary injunction. They ruled that the Commodities Exchange Act did not strip states of their authority to regulate gambling, and this case is currently under appeal. And then Massachusetts was a different approach. The Attorney General there took an offensive stance by suing Kalshi in state court. They alleged the platform was illegally offering online sports wagering without properly obtaining a state license. In the state of Massachusetts, online gambling is legal. Kalshi attempted to take this case and move it to federal court where they have other cases. And the judge denied that and ruled that it does not preempt the state's traditional powers to regulate gambling. There's more cases than this, but these are kind of the earlier ones and the ones that are moving through the court system and have gotten pretty far at this point. Last slide. Then we come to amicus briefs. This is a broad coalition which has filed briefs supporting state authority. It includes attorney generals on behalf of states. It includes over 65 tribal entities and associations, to include the Indian Gaming Association. The arguments are that these markets compromise tribal sovereignty and gaming revenue, which supports their services. We in the state of Washington have actually signed on to 4 of these amicus briefs, that being the Third Circuit in New Jersey, the Fourth Circuit, the Maryland case, the Ninth Circuit, Nevada case. The Ninth Circuit is also the circuit that Washington State is in. And lastly, Blue Lake Rancheria versus Calshi, which is a California case involving a tribe that's in litigation with Calshi. With that, I'm happy to take any questions, or we can turn it over to Scott, who will give further color on this issue.
Great, thank you so much, and sorry about the technical difficulties. It looks like Representative Kloba has her hand up. Good morning.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. Are you hearing me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I'm on the floor and have headphones in. So one of the things I'm wondering is, as a commodity, how are the gains and losses from these prediction markets required to be dealt with from a federal tax perspective?
Scott, you might be able to answer that. I'm not a tax attorney or a commodities futures exchange. I would imagine that there's some type of capital gains, whether it be short or long-term capital gains at the federal level. I would imagine there's something of that sort, similar to securities like stocks. I would imagine you would have to claim this on your federal tax return. That's a good question. Whether or not Calshi polymarkets issue any kind of 1099s and so forth, I don't know. I do not know the answer to that, but something that could be looked into.
Okay, thank you. I might not be able to stay for the rest of the meeting. I think we're going to get rolling here soon. But if we do have that answer, maybe that could be sent out by email and perhaps to the other legislators who couldn't come. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. All right, I'll turn it over to Scott.
Scott's muted.
Scott, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Before I get into my PowerPoint, I'll just expand on the question before we leave, before we lose the commissioner. It's a very good question. I think that if you ask the IRS, they may not be able to give you a clear answer to it as well. It is clear that it will need to be reported as income. But how it's reported, will have a factor, as to whether it's capital gains or a business expense or a gaming winning, are all treated differently, and the way that you can offset your winnings with losses are treated differently. So it's an open-ended question, and frankly, as states and tribes, but this is an area probably better suited for states, look for ways to discourage this kind of activity. The state tax codes, may come into play as well. I know a couple of states are looking at that question. So let me first, I want to thank Director Griffin for inviting me. I think that this is a very important topic. I myself have been working as a lawyer with, if I could go to the next slide, I've been working as a lawyer in Indian country, for mostly the entirety of my career. I hate to say, north of 40 years now, and most of that has been working with tribal governments almost exclusively. So I'm going to admit my bias here. And if you had asked me this question a year and a half ago, I don't think the words prediction markets or commodities future exchange commission or trading commission, would even roll off of my tongue because nobody really expected this to happen. But here in the last year and a half, we've now seen this explosive growth in prediction markets on sports betting, really go throughout the entire country. Next slide, please. Oh, and the same disclaimer that these are my views and not necessarily the views of the clients that I represent. In Washington State specifically, I represent the Spokane tribe and the Shoalwater Bay tribe, but I don't believe that their views are inconsistent with what I'm saying here. One aspect about how we got here that I think everyone needs to understand is the way these prediction market contracts work from a regulatory point of view. Under the CEA, once you're a registered operator like Kalshi or Robinhood or Crypto.com or Polymarket, you then self-certify that the contract that you're providing on your web page or your app is a lawful contract under the CEA. And the way the regulations have been working out, and this becomes significant in how this all comes into litigation, is that unless the Commodities Future Trading Commission steps in and says, no, that self-certification is wrong, then their position, at least as advocated in the courtroom, is that they have the legal green light to operate. And they've been taking advantage of the fact that basically the CFTC is asleep at the switch, we had one commissioner hang on, and now we have her. She's been replaced with the new chairman, which I'll get into shortly. Next slide, please. So I have to blame my nephew for these the entertainment here. What makes this somewhat startling is things have been operating smoothly since NASPA was struck down, because the CFTC wasn't allowing this kind of activity to go through. The CEA itself, which is the Commodity Exchange Act, and the regulations promulgated by the CFTC prohibit contracts on gaming, expressly gaming, unlawful activity, war, assassination, and terrorism. Now, the way this whole thing started, is before the national election last fall. They started offering, or Kalshi started offering elections or wagers, prediction markets on the outcome of the election. And the Biden administration stepped in and said, no, you can't do that. Kalshi sued the CFTC, and they won. The court said, I'm not giving any deference after the Loper-Bright opinion out of the Supreme Court. I'm not giving any deference to the CFTC's view that a bet on an election is gaming. And oddly enough, Kalshi in their briefing in that litigation said, well, betting on the outcome of the election, it's just a hedge. It's not like, it's not gaming. It's not like betting on sporting events. And then as soon as the ink was dry, they, quote, self-certified wagers on the Super Bowl. And that, district court decision that we think was, quite suspect in its analysis, still stands because the current administration dismissed the appeal in that litigation last May. Next slide, please. So, we're now, as I pointed out, they immediately went and said, okay, well, now we're going to try it in sports betting. And their position is that they're not gaming. And even if they were, they're allowed unless the CFTC finds them to threaten the public interest. The CFTC has been asleep at the switch. And so you've now seen, what started out as, they got out on a significant piece of the Super Bowl last year. And in the course of a year, this business has just grown exponentially to now where billions of dollars are going through these operators, literally in all 50 states. Next slide, please. So, what's interesting is the consequences of that. That even if you're a state like Utah or Hawaii that prohibits all forms of gaming for all persons, for all purposes, according to Kalshi and Polymarket, et cetera, they still have the ability to accept wagers in those states as because their argument is state law is completely preempted. Now, of course, the CFTC has no capacity, to regulate this industry in the way that we've seen, the tribes in the states, take it so seriously over the course of decades now. There's no licensing. There's no backgrounding or suitability requirements involved. There's no tax revenue to the states. There's no payments to the tribes. This is mandated by IGRA, even though they're accepting wagers from tribal lands as well. There's no patron protections. I don't think I'm overstating it when I say, this is an existential threat, not just to tribal sovereignty as it relates to how tribes conduct and regulate gaming on tribal lands, but even more so to state sovereignty and the way states choose to regulate gaming activities within their boundaries. Next slide, please. So we're in court. I probably, might have made a personal mistake in terms of my own personal life, in terms of thinking I'd get involved in the third one that came out, because the first two caught us off guard. But it's now just simply exploded. And I should have said in my original introduction, Bryce mentioned, the tribal amicus briefs. I have three exceptional co-authors that are working on those briefs with me, but I have been involved with all of the tribal briefs that have been filed to date. On last count, we've got 22 federal lawsuits. Now, most of these have been through a PAC pattern where the state regulatory entity issues a letter saying what you're doing is illegal in violation of state law and you need to stop. And the operators, and Kalshi was the first one out of the box and kind of set the framework here, immediately turned around and sued the states and with the complaint have filed motions for preliminary injunction. Now, the two largest gaming states, Nevada and New Jersey, were quick to issue these cease and desist letters, and they were quickly sued. And Kalshi got two very quick wins, where both the federal district court judge in Nevada and New Jersey issued in preliminary injunctions preventing the two states from moving forward with any kind of enforcement action. And that's when the red flag went up. That hey, folks, we have a serious problem here. There are also now a handful of class action lawsuits that have been brought by plaintiff law firms representing angry patrons, and you also have a handful of state court lawsuits basically brought by the states against the operators. I think I've mentioned some here: Illinois, Kentucky, Massachusetts, South Carolina, where they seek to disgorge these operators of their profits in an effort to bring the activity to a halt. Next slide, please. So, frankly, it's been a mixed bag, and it's been a roller coaster. There were these two quick wins that took everybody off guard. But now it's been followed up by a number of wins in favor of the states. Bryce mentioned the first one where Kalshi was unsuccessful in getting Maryland to the Maryland District Court to issue an injunction, and Massachusetts is now issuing an affirmative injunction forcing them to shut down. And as Bryce mentioned, in Nevada, the very same judge that originally ruled in favor of Kalshi had a lot more information and a lot more input from the states and the tribes through their amicus briefs.
Unknown participant is now joining.
When Polymarket decided to bring a similar lawsuit, and the judge said, "Oh, I got it wrong," when I when I ruled in Kalshi's favor, and has now vacated that injunction. So right now, the only state that is enjoined from
unknown participant is now exiting
is New Jersey. There was a point in time in very recent timeline on this to where I was very encouraged, thinking the courts now see what's going on, that this nonsense that Congress somehow intended to completely wipe out 200 years of state and tribal jurisprudence as to the manner in which gaming is going to be conducted on state and tribal lands, was simply being usurped and wiped away through the passage of the Commodities Exchange Act. It's an argument that, frankly, I think is bogus, and I think the courts were starting to realize that. Next slide, please. So, after those first two quick injunctions, people started waking up, and particularly the states and the tribes have been weighing in with amicus briefs, and I think that they've been having an impact in terms of how these decisions now trending in favor of the states. All of the major national and regional tribal gaming associations have joined on to an amicus brief that includes both the Indian Gaming Association and the Washington Indian Gaming Association. We're very thankful for their support. And you have more than 60 individual tribes that have been signing on to these briefs as well. On the state side, thank you very much, State of Washington, for those that the state has been signing on to. But on the state AG side, we have an ever increasing number of states signing on. In the most recent one, the appeal of the Maryland decision that's pending in the Fourth Circuit, you had 38 states plus DC signing on to those briefs. And we think that's significant, that particularly because it shows that this is not a red versus blue issue, which is why I think that the operators would like to view it is, hey, we have a red administration that's backing us up, and therefore, get out of our way. You have some very deep red states that have been signing on to these briefs, as well, which I think speaks to this being one of those issues that the more bright light of day that shined onto it, the better off we're going to be. You also have the industry weighing in, which I was pleased because some of these major industry operators, I think you look back and you say, well, if they can avoid state regulation and state taxation, then why not offer their mobile gaming in this other forum? But the AGA, the Major Industry Trading Group, has submitted their own amicus briefs and have taken a position strongly opposed to this type of wagering. Now, as a result of that, a number of members of the AGA, those, especially those like DraftKings and FanDuel's that primarily look to the mobile market for their profit, have left that organization. Next slide, please. So that was the landscape until a week ago. And now I think we've seen yet another major change, and this is why I refer to it being as a roller coaster. When Michael Selig was nominated to be the chairman of the CFTC, he during his confirmation hearing, he took a very clear middle ground, saying, well, this is in the courts. Let's see how the courts address it. But on January 29th, he came out with a personal statement, but given that he is the sole commissioner currently of the CFTC and the chairman of the CFTC, it's being interpreted as being the position of the CFTC. And has come out and said on the 29th that yes, the CFTC does have exclusive jurisdiction. And when he says exclusive jurisdiction, that means preempts the state's jurisdiction, including Washington State and the Washington State Gambling Commission's regulatory jurisdiction, and tribes as it relates to tribal lands. He directed staff to withdraw an advisory that the staff had issued in the middle of all this litigation, where they were making it clear that the fact that the CFTC has not taken action on these self-certifications by the operators didn't equate to CFTC approval. And frankly, that was one of the legal issues that we were struggling with in terms of how do you get the CFTC into the courtroom when the Administrative Procedures Act requires a final agency action. And here, that action was basically willful blindness of this activity going on. He also directed staff to withdraw a rule that had been proposed and circulated by the Biden administration that would have clarified that contracts on sport events are illegal gaming. Next slide, please. And the two biggies out of his statement is he directed staff to develop a proposed new rule that would address the sports event wagering, and directed the staff to reconsider whether the CFTC should participate in all this pending litigation, because up till now, the CFTC has been deathly silent and not a party to and not appearing in any of the litigation. Next slide. So, and again, these are my remarks or my own, observations, but I think that this development is likely to greatly complicate the pending litigation over the course of the last 2 weeks, and I think I saw another one already this morning.
Unknown participant is now joining.
All of these operators have been flooding the courts with supplemental pleadings saying, here's copy of CFTC Chairman Selig's personal comments, and court, you should consider them as being the formal position of the CFTC, despite the fact that the CFTC has not taken any formal action, at least not so far. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I'm not quite sure what directing staff to reconsider participation in litigation really means. If it means that they're going to provide amicus like the tribes have, frankly, I welcome their input. But the problem with that is, then they're not bound by the outcome of that court decision. If they intervene in the litigation, which is, frankly, what I would hope that they would do, then, then we've got something real to work with. If they prevail, we're all in a world of hurt. If they lose, then they're bound by the decisions that they lose. So we'll have to see what happens. Next slide. So, as I pointed out, none of these lawsuits that I've identified include the CFTC as a party. Primarily because it's difficult to figure out how to get jurisdiction over the CFTC. Although we think that even before this development, we thought that we may have figured out a way to do that. But it was really starting to unfold kind of like the whack-a-mole we've seen in the sweepstakes, illegal sweepstakes markets, to where you take enforcement action and some abide by it, others don't. And every time you seem to knock one down, another one shows up elsewhere. And I was real concerned that we were seeing a repeat of that here. We have had discussions with some state AGs, and I would hope that maybe as a result of today's session that we could further that discussion with Washington State, to where we do believe that there is an avenue to where you can kind of put the CFTC in a catch-22, that if they're taking the position that their non-action on the self-certification isn't reviewable under the APA, well, then they're basically conceding that they've delegated that regulatory authority to the very private entities that they're supposed to be regulating, and we think that we can and should pursue an action directly against the CFTC under that theory. But oddly, Selig's statements, may have done us a favor because if he truly feels that he's on the right here, then he should intervene in this litigation and be bound by the results, good or bad. Next slide, please. So, I think that that this sea change is going to take the winds out of the sails of the momentum that the states and tribes were getting in the courtroom, because it's an excuse to slow things down. First, you're going to see, if he's going to embark in the rulemaking process, we're going to see a shift of the discussion to those public hearings, which, frankly, I would expect to be drug out, through the end of next year, or even through the end of the Trump administration altogether. We don't know if courts would grant the stays, but I can see them coming in and saying, hey, Judge, can we just, put a pause here? The CFTC is in the process of formulating its own view and may or may not get himself involved directly into this litigation. So why don't we just, stand down for a period of time while the CFTC looks at this. And like we've already seen, I mean, I wish I had brought the business side of the the discussion here, and that they can show you, graphs that are just shocking, that show this incredible exponential growth in the market in just the 18 months that it's been, or 13 months actually, that it's been in the sports event arena. They're aggressively marketing in all 50 states, and they particularly focus on states like Washington State, where there's not a legal online platform for
Unknown
the
participant is
operators
now exiting.
to go to. So this is, this isn't just a theoretical legal, curiosity. This is having a direct impact, and Washington states and Washington State and Washington tribes, are losing huge amounts of revenue as this activity that, in my opinion, is clearly illegal, continues. Next slide. I did want to mention, and this is my last slide, I did want to mention that in addition to, in terms of the tools in our toolboxes, there have been, mostly it's, going after the operators directly, saying you've got to stop what they're doing. But you now have at least 4 states that, with a lot of these operators, like DraftKings and FanDuel's being 2 examples of them, they're operating prediction market sports wagering while at the same time operating under licenses that have been issued in lawful jurisdictions for lawful sports wagering. I don't see how they can have it both ways. But if you're in a business, if you're a business that's associated with one of these operators, these 4 states have made it clear that that association with the illegal operation is itself a material factor that can affect that licensee's suitability for a license. And Arizona has taken the threat and turned it into an actual enforcement action, and is currently looking to revoke Underdog's license, which is one of the is operating one of the mobile apps in Arizona, and saying that your association with these prediction market operations renders you unsuitable for a license, and it put them on notice that it'll be revoked. So there are other tools in the tool chest. Frankly, my own view is that we should look and pursue all of them until we bring this activity to an end. Because if it doesn't, this is a true existential threat, as I pointed out in the beginning, to both tribal and state sovereignty, to where you will see these operators flood the zone in terms of the mobile gaming market, and not just the mobile sports wagering market. But I believe that their intent is to go all out. That you can reduce the universe to ones and zeros, and these binary contract agreements. You're going to see them come up with creative ways to make slots and blackjack and roulette prediction market contracts. So it's a serious problem, and I'm very happy with Director Griffin giving me the opportunity to make these points. And with that, I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thank you, Scott. That was very informative and helpful. Does anyone have any questions, commissioners? Ex officios, looks like the ex officios all the questions. All right, not seeing any. Thank you very much, Scott and Bryce. It's a very good presentation for us here this morning.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the second petitioner is Petitioner Vo, who is requesting to come off the self-exclusion list before their term has expired.
That individual is not here today.
That individual is not on the call, correct?
Okay.
Any discussion?
I would just state for the record that we just enacted these rules in 2022. And there was plenty of time for public comment and discussion about the ability to remove oneself from the list once they're on. So there, that's my statement.
Yes, any other questions, comments from commissioners?
Yeah, just
Go ahead, Commissioner Charles.
No, if I was interrupting, go for it. I apologize.
No, you're fine. Go ahead. And we'll...
Okay, great. Well, I just want to recommend that we deny this petition for a lot of the reasons stated by Commissioner Larson, but also like when people sign these are irrevocable agreements. I feel like people should acknowledge that their exclusion should not be rescinded for any reasons at all. The cooling off period is one of the most important protections put in place, and it's designed to prevent individuals from returning to gaming or gambling for any relapse or perceived recovery. So just saying allowing early removal would undermine the purpose of the program and contradict the standards held by every other state in this country. So just for maintaining commitment to what we put together, I just again recommend we deny these petitions.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Scott?
Yeah, well said, Commissioner Charles. I got nothing to add to that.
All right, do we have a motion?
I move to deny the petition submitted by Junior Vo due to fact that these rules were just put in place in 2022 and that they are in line with what every other state does.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 All right.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Tricia. All right, next we will go to tab 7, which is the Special Olympics. We have Ben Stoker, a special agent, Nikki Rhodes, a special agent, and Mary Doe, the chief executive officer. If you're with us, you can go ahead and get started.
Good morning, commissioners and staff. For the record, my name is Ben Stoker. I work in the Regulation Enforcement Unit. I will be presenting the results of the Special Olympics of Washington's 2025 Enhanced Raffle and a proposal for a 2026 Enhanced Raffle. The 2026 proposal will require action today. Starting with the results from the 2025 Enhanced Raffle, the grand prize drawing took place on May 9th, 2025. 23,514 tickets were sold for a total of $3,118,666. Prizes awarded totaled a little over $806,000, and with accounting for other expenses, the net proceeds from the Enhanced Raffle in 2025 was $425,276. The raffle was reviewed by the staff of the Gambling Commission. It was confirmed that the Special Olympics of Washington operated the Enhanced Raffle within the plan approved by the commissioners. Moving on to the 2026 Enhanced Raffle proposal, we'll start with a quick summary of the need for this presentation. In 2013, a bill was passed in the legislative session authorizing enhanced raffles. A Washington administrative code was created which says the commissioners may vote to approve a bona fide charitable or nonprofit organization whose primary purpose is serving individuals with intellectual disabilities to conduct enhanced raffles when they meet the requirements of the law and submit a plan as set out in the rule. Special Olympics of Washington has a mission to provide year-round sports training and athletic competition in a variety of Olympic-type sports for children and adults with intellectual disabilities, giving them continuing opportunities to develop physical fitness, demonstrate courage, experience joy, and participate in sharing gifts, skills, and friendship with their families, other Special Olympic athletes, and the community. The basics of the plan is to start February 23rd and have a grand prize drawing on June 19th, 2026. There are more details in the meeting materials packet. And if you have any questions, Mary Doe and Candace are here to answer your questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. If I may, and I'd love obviously if you have questions too. But thank you for allowing us to present again this year. As you've seen in the 2025 report, and then our comparison of our 2026 plan, there's definite focus on operational discipline and strengthening our oversight by continuing to evaluate the costs to ensure that net proceeds are benefiting our athletes more. Our historical financials result in market conditions, and so you'll see some declines over the years, particularly around the 2020 side with obviously the thing called the pandemic that wasn't helpful for us. But as we continue to work through this over the years, we are continuing to ensure that just with leadership and staffing structures internally, that our focus is clear, and that is to maximize the mission impact. Simplify where appropriate, and then maintain full compliance with commission's requirements. The house raffle isn't just a revenue mechanism for us, it's a vehicle that supports, as a special agent mentioned, year-round sports, health screenings, and leadership opportunities for thousands of individuals with intellectual disabilities and developmental disabilities across the state. Last year was our 50th anniversary, and we were so grateful for the continued support, not only through our raffle, but to our community, that we were able to do a couple other things this past year. One of them being co-designing with tribal partners the first Indigenous Games that took place at our spring games at not Pacific Lutheran, UPS, University of Puget Sound, and allow us to have our opening ceremonies for the first time at the Tacoma Rainiers at Cheney Stadium before a game started. So these were some really wonderful things that happened last year. And although we see the trend sometimes going down, again, we're working really hard to ensure the costs are being eliminated or reduced in this upcoming year, and of course for the future years. But more importantly, I think I want to introduce someone incredibly amazing that I thought would be great to share just a little bit about why Special Olympics actually matters, and how your support has truly made a difference in nearly 14,000 athletes across the state. Candace, I'll pass it to you.
Hi, I'm Candace Smith. I'm one of the athletes for Special Olympics. I'm now a board member. I'm on the statewide committee. I'm on the state leadership council. There's a lot of athletes that have a council meeting that they talk about ideas, how to help so make changes. We had we had to make some decisions to cut some of the sporting things over the years to do more fundraising, and I'm very grateful to be an athlete for Special Olympics. I've been doing it for 29 years. I was recently selected for the USA Games. I'll be heading to Minnesota to represent Team Washington in bowling. And we have state games this year. Be basketball and cheerleading will be celebrating 36 years. All athletes compete year round, every day, and they train hard. If they don't get a gold, doesn't matter. They get to meet their friends and get to meet other athletes' families. We get to hang out and have a good time, and I'm very grateful to be a Special Olympics athlete.
Thank you, Candace.
Thank you.
One of the things that Candace mentioned is, I think, just for some context, not only through what we do through the enhanced raffle, as I stepped into this role about a year ago, really taking a hard look organizationally about how we operate much more efficiently, meaning where we might have to reduce and bring back things at a later date. And so really, I think the good news is that we're stable, but many nonprofits as Special Olympics, and especially around the raffles, the trends are, it's really the market. And so we are doing our darndest to make sure that that doesn't impact our athletes. As Candace mentioned, she is off to the 2026 USA Games with about 100 Washington State athletes this June, which is fantastic. And that is at no cost to the athletes or the families. And so enhanced raffles like this really truly support the growth and opportunities. So thank you very, very much.
Right, thank you, and congratulations, Candace. Good luck this June. It's exciting.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
My mom got a grant, so she'll be going with me to USA Games, so she'll get to support me and support other athletes that are going. So it's 100 athletes of us are going to go to Minnesota, represent the state of Washington, and make them proud.
Wow, very cool. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone. All right, do we have any questions from any of the commissioners? Not seeing any, and I know we had someone sign up for public comment. So Derek Zimmer, if you're available, I think I see you here. Oh, 1 second, Derek. Can you hold 1 second? I think
Yes,
Commissioner Charles raised his hand right before that. Sorry. Commissioner Charles, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Hello. Also, just for whoever's in the admin, I can't see anything, so I'm just kind of like, I don't know if the video's not working properly or what, but I'm kind of just like looking at a screen. So anyway, I apologize if I can't see anything. So I was just wondering, like, from the net proceeds piece, that it said that if they don't reach the 50% or like the sales or whatever, they don't reach the 84,000 tickets sold. I was wondering, like, what's like the percentage split down per ticket? Like, how much of that goes to the athletes versus administrative costs? Like,
yeah,
after if they drop that.
Yeah, so it's if they take the net proceeds, it's 50% of the net proceeds will then go to the winner, and then the rest goes to Special Olympics Washington. Obviously, we've got some operational costs that go with it. It is high. I'm not going to lie. We see it, and we know that there are fees in there that are extremely high. That we've done this for a long time. Although this is the time for us to really, again, as an organization, take a really hard look at areas that potentially we bring it internally or reduce. So some of the things you'll see on like the 26 plan is kind of reduction of some of the prizes. Some of the gift cards, there's like thousands of gift cards. And so you'll start to see us doing that, but I think more at an accelerated pace in this upcoming year. But I can get you the exact percentage following this call, if that's okay.
Oh yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah, and I just, as kind of just remind you that it is important to keep it at charitable causes.
Yes.
So,
Very much so.
just aware of that. So just keeping our eyes on that. Just want to let you know. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Now, Mr. Zimmer, sorry about that. You can go ahead with your.
Thank you very much. Members of the Washington State Gambling Commission, my name is Derek Zimmer. I'm here to represent my son, a Special Olympics athlete, Special Olympic athletes in the state of Washington, and stakeholders in the Special Olympics Washington. Special Olympics Washington's enhanced raffle is not fair and honest. If provided adequate time, I will conclusively demonstrate why SOA's enhanced raffle is not fair and is not honest, using information annually submitted by SOA to the IRS, information submitted by SOA to the Washington Gambling Commission for its approval of the Western Washington Enhanced Raffle Plan request. In addition, using the documents submitted to the Washington State Gambling Commission by me, I will conclusively demonstrate how Special Olympics Washington, by its dedicated employee responsible for oversight of the enhanced raffle operation, Mary Doe, CEO and COO, and by its licensed service supplier managing the enhanced raffle, NZ Consulting Inc., owned 100% by Neil Zevi, designed the raffle so that a dream home will never, ever be awarded. Further, upon request of the commissioners, I will conclusively demonstrate how SOA, by its employee responsible for oversight of the enhanced raffle operation, Mary Doe, CEO and COO, and by its licensed service supplier managing the enhanced raffle, NZ Consulting Inc., owned 100% by Neil Zevi, allowed NZ Consulting Inc. and others to deliberately and wrongfully deceive Special Olympics Washington stakeholders, including, of course, Special Olympics athletes, as well as the Washington State Gambling Commission. Finally, I will provide conclusively and easily demonstrate the falsehoods of the statements made by Mary Doe, Chief Executive Officer's statements made to you today,
Yes, sir.
as
Your 2
well
minutes
as,
is up.
yeah, I'm almost finished, as
That's
well
okay. Your
as,
2 minutes are up, sir.
they're up. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you, though. We appreciate your commentary and thank you for coming to our meeting.
Thank you.
May I respond?
No, I don't believe at this time we will allow that. Thank you, though.
Thanks.
All right, since there was no one else signed up for public comment, we will go ahead and move on to take a motion.
I move to approve the 2026 Dreamhouse Enhanced Raffle request to be conducted in Western Washington by the Special Olympics of Washington.
Second.
Thank you.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion by the commissioners? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All right.
Thank you so much. Thank
All
you.
right,
Thank you.
motion passes. Thank
Have a great
you.
day.
All right, and now we are going to move in, well, we're going to take a 10-minute break and let's, yeah, it's 11:35, and then we will go into executive session for 1 hour, where then we will come back to this meeting and adjourn. So thank you, we will see you in an hour. Oh yeah, the purpose is to review an employee of the Gambling Commission. Thank you.
Recording.
All right, we conclude the executive session at 12:35 p.m. and we'll now go into the open meeting for the purpose of concluding the meeting. It is now 12:35 p.m. and we are adjourned. Thank you. Bye.